The incredible transformation. How a new nanny revealed hidden joy in the Millionaire CEO's twins. Jake Reynolds stood atop the grand staircase of his lavish Chicago mansion, a pulse of emptiness echoing through the echoing halls. His wealth, palpable silk and shining glass, could buy anything except the laughter and warmth of his twin daughters, Ava and Mia. At 10 years old, they felt more like striking art pieces than beloved children. They could be seen wandering with their heads bowed low, shadows of happiness just out of reach, the walls of their sanctuary squeezing the life out of them. Then came Sarah bursting in like spring after a bitter winter, a spirited young nanny from a tiny Midwestern town with a laugh that could melt the frost. Her first day was earthy and full, like a hayfield warmed by the sun. She gathered the twins for kite flying in the sprawling backyard. The color of the kites against the blue sky sparked something long dormant in Ava and Mia. There was no polished image to uphold here, just joy. They ran, the wind tugging at their laughter while Jake observed, arms crossed, his heart tightening with envy at the sight of their unfiltered happiness. But Sarah was more than just a breeze of cheer. She baked cookies that turned the house into a warm embrace, the sweet scent wrapping around Jake like a blanket he'd long forgotten. "You should try one, Dad," they urged, their eyes crinkled with hope. But he dismissed it with a wave. He couldn't afford the transgressions of sweetness. He was focused the stock market, board meetings, and insignias meant he traded with ambition, not indulgence. Days turned into weeks, and the twins found themselves longing for Sarah's simple joy. They wanted to explore the unembellished delights neighborhood cleanups, picnics filled with laughter. "No more toys, Dad," they'd giggle. "Let us just spend time together." Their requests rang through the mansion like a bell, but Jake only felt the tightening of obligation around his throat. The rift between them widened, a father forgetting to cherish the little things. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then fear flared through their already strained ties. Ava fell sick, and the hospital's cold reality settled into the heart of their family. Jake's ambition now felt like an iron weight, each tick of the clock in that sterile room threatening to drown him. Was all this worth it? He had neglected the most precious relationship he had. Sitting in that hospital room, emotions broke inside him like a wave crashing against a cliff. It was not the business deals or the luxury car that mattered. It was his daughter's faces pale and uncertain, the love woven through their fragile bodies. Would he trade all his wealth for their laughter again? As whispers of hope lingered in the air thick with despair, Jake faced a choice: a leap towards vulnerability, away from pride. Could he embrace the simple joy Sarah kindled in his daughter's spirits? The answer lay just at the tip of his finger, and it could change everything. But just as he began to decide, an unexpected visitor walked into the room, ready to shake the very foundation of their lives. Jake barely registered the figure that stepped through the door, his mind swirling with thoughts of his daughters. The visitor was an elderly man, his face lined with deep creases that told stories of hard-won wisdom and sorrow. Clad in a simple navy jacket, the man carried an air of quiet authority that instantly commanded attention. "Mr. Reynolds?" he asked, his voice steady but kind. Jake looked up, his heart pounding. "Yes," he replied, unsure of what to expect. "I'm Dr. Williams, Ava and Mia's pediatrician." The man introduced himself, moving closer with a comforting presence. "I wanted to discuss Ava's condition and what we might do next." Jake's pulse quickened. "What is wrong with her?" "She's been diagnosed with a type of pneumonia. The good news is that she's stable and responding to treatment, but we need to keep a close watch on her progress," Dr. Williams explained, each word hanging in the air, a lifeline and a weight all at once. The doctor's gaze shifted to the two beds in the room, where Ava lay peacefully, the beeping machines providing a somber soundtrack to her fragile state. Jake's heart sank further, guilt flooding his chest. How had he let it get to this point? As if sensing his turmoil, Dr. Williams continued, Ava needs love and stability right now. It's crucial she feels secure in this uncertain time. Children are resilient, but they need their parents. Jake inhaled sharply, the doctor's words striking home. It was true. He'd wrapped himself in ambition and success while neglecting what truly mattered: his daughters. Like culprits in a tragedy, he'd let them slip into shadows. Yes, I understand, Jake stammered. I'm suggesting we arrange for a family therapy session. I know this is not easy, the doctor said, a glint of encouragement in his eyes. But it might help you all connect, especially as a family during this tough time. Jake ran a hand through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. He wanted to fight for his daughters, to bring that joy back into their lives, but how could he, when he'd lived so long in a world of transactions and tables? The doctor smiled gently, as if sensing the turmoil within him. Look, it's never too late to start anew. Every day matters. You have the power to change this. Jake nodded slowly, determination sparking inside him. He needed to show Ava and Mia that love could conquer the darkest moments. It wasn't just about toys or outings. It was about being present. But then the door swung open again, and in walked Sarah, bright and vibrant despite the tension in the room. Hey, I brought some cupcakes for the girls, she said, her smile a beacon of warmth. The unmistakable scent filled the room, mingling sweetness with the sterile smell of antiseptic. Jake could see a flash of surprise cross her face as she took in the scene. He felt a rush of gratitude for this woman who had filled their home with laughter and light. As Sarah approached Ava's bedside, Jake felt a heaviness lifting slightly. Maybe this was the time to bridge the gap, to bring Sarah, which had become an unexpected source of joy, into their healing journey. Sarah, he called softly, I think we need to talk about us. Her eyes widened with a mix of curiosity and caution. About what specifically? Suddenly, the weight of possibilities hung in the air. Jake realized this could be the moment of reckoning. To admit he needed help and perhaps, just perhaps, open his heart. But would Sarah see him as a man ready for change, or just the same man lost in his world? The question loomed, echoing in the sterile air of that hospital room, as hope flickered on the horizon. What would it take for Jake to transform completely? And would he have the courage to grasp that chance? Jake felt the weight of Sarah's gaze on him, and for a brief moment, the world outside the hospital walls faded. It was just the two of them, emotions swirling like leaves caught in a gust of wind. About us, he said again, this time a bit more firmly. I don't want you to be just someone who shares cupcakes with the girls. I want you to be a part of our lives. I need your support. Sarah's smile faltered slightly, as if she were weighing his words against the reality of their situation. Jake, I care about Ava and Mia, and I want to help, she replied cautiously. But what do you think that looks like? He hesitated, searching for the right words. I think it means coming together as a family. Not just in moments like this, but moving forward. I want to be present, not just a shadow in their lives. The air crackled with unspoken emotions. Sarah's expression softened, vulnerability breaking through her initial caution. You know they adore you, right? You're not just their dad, you're their hero. But they need to see you, to feel you, both physically and emotionally. Jake swallowed hard, ashamed of how far he had strayed. I failed them. I let work consume me. I let my ambitions rob me of joy, rob them of their father. I want to change that. I want them to remember me as someone who fought for them, not just a man in a suit. As the words left his lips, he felt a raw honesty revealing deeper truths. Sarah looked at him with a mixture of sadness and hope. It's a tough journey, but you're not alone in this. They both turned towards Ava, who lay so still, and Jake felt a pang in his chest. He recalled the laughter they shared, bedtime stories, and whispered I love yous. This moment felt like a plea for redemption, not just for him, but for them all. Maybe we could start with that family therapy session, Sarah suggested softly. It could open doors. It could help. Jake nodded appreciatively, his resolve strengthening. Yes, I'll ask Dr. Williams for details. We need to be on this together. Just then, a soft whimper cut through the air. Both of them turned to see Mia, stirring in her sleep. The tiny girl was just awakening, groggy and confused. Ava, she called out, the pitiful sweetness of her voice slicing through the room. Jake immediately moved to comfort her, sitting on the edge of her bed and brushing a few stray hairs away from Mia's forehead. Hey, sweetheart. Ava's here. She's resting right now. Mia blinked up at him, her big eyes round with innocence and love. Can we go outside? I want to play, she murmured, snuggling deeper into the pillows. Jake's heart sank. The weight of their reality threatened to drown him once more. Soon, baby. I promise. We just need to be patient for a little while longer. As he reassured her, he caught Sarah's eye. A mutual understanding passed between them. This was just the beginning. There was still a long way to go. With renewed purpose, Jake turned to Sarah. Please join us for that session, he said earnestly. You've already made such a difference. Her smile returned, warmer this time, and he could see the flicker of hope blooming within her. Of course, Jake. I'll be there. With that, they settled into an easy silence, the kind that spoke volumes about shared purpose and strength. They were both scared, but for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope that they could face whatever lay ahead together. But just as the moment seemed to settle into something resembling peace, the hospital door swung open yet again. This time, it wasn't another doctor or a family member. It was someone unexpected, a stranger who seemed to know more about Jake's past than he'd ever wanted to share. Mr. Reynolds? The figure said, eyes locking onto Jake, a knowing look settling on his face. Jake felt a shiver run down his spine, his heart ratcheting up a notch. Who was this person? And what did they want? What secrets were about to unfold that could either challenge or change everything? Jake's heart raced as he stared at the stranger. The man was older, with a face lined by years of experience, his expression a blend of curiosity and concern. He stepped further into the room, and Jake felt Sarah tense beside him. Who are you? Jake managed, his voice steady but laced with an edge of frustration. The man hesitated, his gaze shifting from Jake to the girls asleep in their beds. Name's Tom. I used to work with you, remember? Mendez Associates? Jake's stomach dropped. Memories flooded back, late nights, cutthroat meetings, and decisions that could make or break futures. Tom had been there through the chaos. It felt like a lifetime ago. How did you find me here? Word travels fast, especially when it comes to the hospital scene. I know how much you've been going through, Tom replied softly, those words weighing heavily between them. The mention of a hospital felt almost invasive, a reminder of the burden Jake had been carrying. What do you want? He asked, desperation creeping in. Tom took a deep breath. I came to see if you're okay. I've been worried. Also, there's something I think you need to hear. Something about Ava. At the mention of his daughter's name, Jake's body stiffened. What do you know about Ava? I can't say much until I get your permission to share. This is sensitive stuff, but I promise it's not just about the hospital and your work. It's more than that. Just then, Mia let out a soft whimper, and Jake instinctively turned to reassure her, but a part of him couldn't shake Tom's hold on the situation. He looked back. Fine, but keep it brief. Whatever it is, it better be good. Tom nodded, relief washing over his face. Ava's fighting hard, and she's got an incredible spirit. But there's something else, something I think you should know about her treatment. It hasn't been ideal. There are alternatives, options less known that could really make a difference. Jake felt a rush of anger rise in his chest. Why are you only telling me this now? Because I just found out myself. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just some rumor before I brought it to you. I know how much Ava means to you. You don't have to go through this alone. I can help. Sarah interjected, her voice steady yet kind. If it's about helping Ava, we should listen. Jake, we need all the information we can get. As she spoke, something unsealed in Jake, a mix of fear and hope, battling for dominance. If there was a chance for Ava, if there was a glimmer of change, he didn't want to miss it. Taking a deep breath, he focused on Tom, seeing past the familiar face to the concern he wore. Okay, talk to me. What do you know? Tom met Jake's gaze, the weight of his words hanging in the air. It's about a specialist. A treatment plan that's been ignored. I believe for the right person, it could change everything. Jake's heart thundered. Could it truly be possible? Was there hope beyond the walls of this hospital? But just as he felt a flicker of possibilities, Mia stirred again and whimpered louder, pulling their focus back to the immediate reality. Jake rushed to her side, brushing the tears from her cheeks. I'm here, baby. I'm here, he whispered, his heart thrumming with a mixture of love and uncertainty. That Tom's voice broke through his thoughts. Jake, you need to act fast. Time is not on your side. With a fierce determination, Jake flipped his focus back to Tom. Let us set up a meeting. I need to know everything. Before Tom could respond, The door swung open one more time. This time, it was a doctor, her expression grave. "Mr. Reynolds, we need to speak about Ava's condition." Tension filled the room like a storm waiting to break. The layers of Jake's life complicated and intertwined, pushing him towards an uncertain yet critical juncture. Just how far was he willing to go to save his daughter? As he met the doctor's eyes, a chill ran through him. What did this moment mean for their family? What decisions loomed ahead? Jake stared at the doctor, his mind racing. Every word felt heavy, loaded with unspoken implications. Had he miscalculated the peril Ava was in? Time was slipping away like sand through his fingers. "Is something wrong with Ava?" Jake asked, his voice hoarse, filled with dread. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. The doctor took a breath, her face softening. "We need to discuss her latest test results. There have been some changes. What kind of changes?" Sarah stepped forward, clutching Jake's arm, her grip tight, as if she was holding on to him for survival. "There's been a slight progression in her condition. We need to consider aggressive treatment options right away," she said, struggling to maintain a professional tone while the emotions danced within her eyes. Aggressive treatment. The words echoed in Jake's mind, sending a wave of nausea coursing through him. He had imagined the day they would discuss progress, hope for good news that felt so far out of reach now. "What kind of treatment?" he asked, forcing himself to stay calm. The doctor explained the options, her voice a steady stream of jargon and procedures, things Jake barely comprehended. All he could think about was how they needed to act immediately. Yet, the enormity of the decisions weighed down. "Can we try the alternatives Tom mentioned?" he asked suddenly, his thoughts clearing in desperation. If there's still hope, a flicker of surprise crossed the doctor's face. "It's certainly worth considering, but I advise you to discuss this with a specialized team. They have expertise in those specific treatments." Jake nodded. "How soon can we meet with them?" "Tomorrow morning, if you can arrange it," she said, her voice calm, but a hint of urgency underlined her words. Sarah squeezed Jake's hand, grounding him. For a moment, he thought of little Ava, her laughter and her innocent smile that could light up any room. All of it hung in the balance. "Okay, we'll make it happen," he said, determination rising within him. As the doctor left, Tom stepped closer, a look of admiration in his eyes. "You're a good dad, Jake. Ava needs someone to fight for her. You're doing the right thing." Those words wrapped around Jake like a protective blanket. He felt something shift in him, a recognition of his role. It wasn't just about finding a way forward. It was about facing an uncertain future, one filled with possibility if he dared to grasp it. "Tom, what do you know about this specialist?" Jake asked, urgency coloring his voice. "Can we move faster?" Tom nodded, his expression serious. "I have a contact who might be able to help. I'll reach out tonight." Jake felt hope flicker again, fluttering like a fragile bird inside him. It was strange to think that even in their darkest times, light could find a way to break through. Just as he was about to express his gratitude to Tom, Mia's voice called out again from the adjoining room. "Daddy?" Jake's heart melted. He hurried toward her, the sound of her small voice pulling him like a magnet. The moment he crossed the threshold, her big eyes were scared, yet relieved to see him. "I'm here, sweetheart," he said, sitting at her side and brushing her hair back. "Everything is okay. I promise." But even as he spoke, fear gnawed at him. "How is everything okay? Are you going to save Ava?" she asked, her little brows furrowing in concern. Jake swallowed hard. "I'm going to do everything I can." Mia curled up against him, and he felt a jolt of purpose. Maybe all the chaos, all the tears, they can lead to something greater. "Jake?" Tom's voice brought him back to the moment. "You can't do this alone. Are you going to let Sarah in on everything?" Jake glanced at Sarah, who had been quietly watching, her face softened by the warmth of understanding. "Yeah," he replied slowly. "We need to be on the same team." The room grew tense again, the weight of decisions pressing down. The future felt as uncertain as ever. But he had to believe in possibilities. Perhaps this meeting tomorrow would turn the tide. Would he finally find the answers he desperately needed? Jake drew a deep breath and squared his shoulders. "Let us make it happen. Tomorrow is going to be a turning point." As Tom nodded in agreement, weaving his way out of the room, Jake turned back to the warmth of Mia beside him. Healing, hope, and transformation lingered like a whisper in the air. What other secrets lay ahead, waiting for him to discover? The sun spilled through the blinds, casting stripes of warmth across the floor. Jake awoke with a sense of urgency gnawing at his gut. He blinked at the clock only a few hours until the meeting. His heart raced as he remembered the weight of yesterday's news. Ava, he had to do this for her. Mia was still asleep beside him, her small frame curled up under the covers. For a fleeting moment, he let himself bask in the innocence of her dreams. He reached over and brushed a strand of hair from her face, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over him for this quiet morning. Carefully, he slipped out of bed and headed to the kitchen. The quiet hum of the house wrapped around him, momentarily soothing his racing thoughts. He poured himself a cup of coffee, letting the warm aroma fill the air, grounding him in the chaotic swirl of emotions. Each sip tasted bitter yet rich, just like the challenges that lay ahead. After a quick shower, Jake dressed in a button-up shirt and neatly pressed pants, the outfit feeling like armor against the uncertainty of the day. He looked in the hallway mirror, his reflection staring back with determination. He had never appreciated how important this role of dad was until now. While he was making breakfast, he heard Sarah's footsteps on the hardwood floor. She appeared, hair tied back, a look of resolve etched on her face. "Ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the nervousness that hovered around them. Jake nodded. "Yeah, I think so. We can do this." They shared a quick breakfast of toast and fruit, the silence between them thick with unspoken thoughts. When Jake glanced over, he saw hints of worry dancing in Sarah's eyes, but alongside that, a fierce determination to help Ava. "Did you reach out to that specialist?" she asked, her hands fidgeting with the edge of her plate. "I did. I made an appointment for 10 a.m., Jake replied. "We'll get answers." "I know it." As they cleared the table, Mia's sleepy voice filled the kitchen. "Daddy, what is going on?" She rubbed her eyes, glancing between the two adults, sensing the tension hanging in the air. Jake knelt down beside her, forcing a smile that didn't cover the worry churning inside him. "Just some grown-up stuff, sweetheart. But we're working hard for Ava." Mia nodded, her innocent trust inspiring a flicker of strength in Jake. "You're gonna save Ava, right?" she asked, her tiny voice laced with sincerity. Jake hesitated for a moment, emotions catching in his throat. "Yes, we're going to do everything we can." After breakfast, they piled into the car, the drive stretching out like an endless road. Time felt distorted, and Jake couldn't help but glance in the rearview mirror at Mia, her curls bouncing with every bump in the road. The car was quiet, a layer of unease settling in, filled with unspoken fears of what lay ahead. As they pulled into the hospital's parking lot, Jake's heart raced. He turned to Sarah and said, "Remember, no matter what we hear today, we're in this together." She met his gaze with fierce intensity. "Together. Always." They walked into the hospital, the sterile air hitting them with a sense of foreboding. Each step felt heavier than the last. Time slowed as they approached the waiting area, anxiety buzzing in the air. Suddenly, Mia tugged at Jake's sleeve. "Can I draw a picture for Ava while we wait?" He smiled, the sweetness warming the cold grip of fear in his chest. "Of course. Let us find some paper." She beamed, transforming the tension into a fleeting moment of connection and hope. Once settled with crayons in hand, Mia began doodling excitedly, and for a moment, Jake felt the heaviness of the day lift just a little. It was these small moments that reminded him of life's beautiful simplicity. But as they waited, the clock ticked ominously, and time began to feel like it was slipping from his grasp again. Would this day change everything for their family? What if the answers they received were not what they hoped for? Jake's mind raced as he watched Mia's tiny hands move over the paper, the colors bursting like flowers springing to life. The faint chatter of the waiting room surrounded them, a world away from the turmoil brewing just beneath his skin. He could feel the weight of everyone's worries pressing heavily on him. But Mia's innocent concentration was a bright light against the encroaching darkness. "Look, Daddy!" Mia exclaimed, holding up her creation. It was a messy but heartfelt drawing of a rainbow, with stick figures resembling their family holding hands beneath it. Jake couldn't help but smile, a knot in his chest loosening as her joy infected him. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," he said, ruffling her hair. "Ava is going to love it." Sarah watched them, a small smile flickering across her face before concern returned to her features. "Jake," she said softly, leaning a little closer, What if the news isn't good? He swallowed hard, stealing a glance around the waiting room. Others were engrossed in their own fears, each face a reminder of the uncertainty they all faced. We can't dwell on that before we even know, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. We have to stay hopeful. Hopeful. Sarah echoed the word, but her eyes betrayed a sense of worry. Mia, sensing the shift, piped up again. Can we have ice cream after we see Ava? The innocence in her voice broke the tension, and both adults chuckled lightly. But Jake noticed how quickly it faded. Sure, we'll get ice cream, he agreed, allowing this moment to nourish the hope they desperately needed. The waiting seemed endless. They watched the clock tick, each second an eternity as Jake's heart thudded against his ribs. He tried to distract himself, scrolling through his phone, but the words blurred together. Suddenly, their names echoed through the waiting room. Jake and Sarah? Both adults jumped up, heart rate spiking. A nurse stood before them, clipboard in hand, her expression polite but unreadable. Follow me, please, she said, leading them down a stark, white corridor. Mia's little hand slipped into Jake's, and he squeezed it tightly, grounding himself in the warmth of her fingers. They entered the examination room. The sterile scent hit Jake with a wave of nausea. Ava lay on the bed, pale against the white sheets, her small figure vulnerable and still. The sight ripped through him, a visceral reminder of the stakes involved. Mia, go sit over there, Sarah directed gently, pointing to a corner where there were toys stacked in a vibrant basket. We're just going to talk to the doctor for a minute. Okay. Mia nodded with a curious tilt of her head, and Jake could see her excitement battle the concern in her eyes as she moved to play. What is happening? Jake asked the nurse, trying to keep his voice calm, but the quiver snuck in. The nurse remained professional, yet her expression softened. Dr. Blake will be in shortly. Try to keep calm. Your daughter is being well taken care of. As the nurse left, silence enveloped them, heavy and laced with unspoken fears. Jake's mind tumbled through possibilities. Thoughts of fear, sadness, and the overwhelming desire to be strong clouded his judgment. Do you think she is going to be okay? Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Jake wanted to reassure her, wanted to promise her sunshine in the darkest moments, but his own thoughts were a swirling mess. I hope so, I really do. Then, the door opened, and in walked Dr. Blake, clipboard in hand, a grim look in her eyes. Time paused as everyone took a collective breath, suspended between hope and fear. Let us talk about Ava's results. What could they possibly say? Would they be prepared for what was coming? Jake's heart raced as he braced for the answers that might shatter everything he had believed. Dr. Blake's gaze met Jake's, and the air felt thick, as if the entire room was holding its breath. Jake could see a flicker of compassion in her eyes, but it did little to soothe the storm brewing inside him. Thank you for coming in, Dr. Blake began. Her voice was calm, clear. I know this is incredibly difficult for both of you. Jake's heart rate quickened. He squeezed Mia's tiny hand. She was focused on arranging the toys, blissfully unaware of the weighty conversation taking place just a few feet away. Can we just, Sarah interrupted, her voice barely maintaining its composure. Can we just get to the point? Dr. Blake nodded, her expression serious. Ava has been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder. It's serious, but treatable. We will need to start her on medication immediately. The words hung in the air, spinning like leaves in a whirlwind. Jake felt a rush of emotions hit him, relief, mixed with fear, hope battling uncertainty. Treatable? He stuttered, as if saying it louder could somehow convince him it was true. Yes, Dr. Blake replied, but it will require regular monitoring and a lot of adjustments to her lifestyle. She'll need your support, now more than ever. Jake turned towards Sarah, searching for signals in her eyes. Her breath came in quick bursts, and he could see the bittersweet mix of joy and fear in her face. So there's hope? She asked, voice trembling. There's always hope, Dr. Blake said gently. But you must fully understand the journey. There will be challenges. Mia looked up from her toys, sensing the change in the adult's expressions. She wobbled over, her little feet pattering against the floor. What's wrong, Mommy? Jake quickly knelt beside her, drawing her into a hug, as if shielding her innocence from the weight of reality. Nothing, baby. Ava will be okay. We're just learning how to help her. Can I help? Mia's voice was clear, a small spark of light cutting through the heavy air. Jake's heart swelled with love. And you will. You're the best big sister. He kissed the top of her head, the softness of her hair a grounding comfort amidst his racing thoughts. Dr. Blake continued discussing the treatment plan, but Jake found it hard to focus. He nodded along, now fixated on Mia, her hands grasping tightly onto his shirt. He could feel her strength, a light that flickered in the midst of darkness. Do you have any questions? Dr. Blake finally asked, scanning their faces. Can we go home now? Mia piped up, her eyes bright and curious. I want to show Ava my rainbow picture. Jake chuckled, his heart lifting. Of course, sweetheart. He stood, feeling a new determination settle within him. As they began to exit the room, he heard Dr. Blake's advice filtering through his mind. Remember, support is crucial. Family needs to face this together. Jake glanced down at Mia's hopeful expression, the rainbow she had drawn symbolizing the storm they had just weathered. Though fear still lurked in his heart, he realized that there was power in togetherness, strength in love. Once outside, he felt a small hand tugging at his shirt. Daddy, can we have that ice cream now? Jake laughed, the tension releasing as fresh hope surged within him. Yes, ice cream it is. As they walked toward the exit, Mia skipped ahead, her tiny voice ringing out with excitement. But another feeling gnawed at Jake. How were they going to navigate this new path? A familiar voice called out from behind them, Jake. He turned to see a figure approaching. Was it his sister, Clara? Her worried eyes met his, sending another wave of anxiety through him. Before he could react, she reached them. I just heard. How is Ava? The question hung heavy in the air, and Jake's pulse quickened once more. Would he be ready to face the truth again? Let us talk, he said, gripping Mia's hand tightly as they prepared to share the news, to confront the challenges ahead. But somewhere deep down, Jake hoped that perhaps, if they leaned on each other as a family, they could find that light even amidst the hardest of times. What would it take to truly thrive together? Would they all come out stronger on the other side? Jake took a deep breath, wiping the sweat that had gathered on his brow. The coolness of the hospital hallway did little to soothe his racing mind. Mia, still in her innocent bubble, remained blissfully unaware of the tension that gripped her father. Clara stepped closer, her eyes full of empathy, waiting for Jake to find his voice. Ava's been diagnosed with something serious, Jake began, feeling the weight of the words he needed to share. But it's treatable. Clara's expression shifted, a mixture of relief and concern coloring her features. Treatable? That's good, right? What do they need to do? Jake glanced at Mia, who was chasing a speck of dust floating in the air, her laughter ringing like music. Yeah, it's good, but it means a long road ahead. Medications, lifestyle changes, a lot of monitoring. The words felt heavy on his chest, and the uncertainty about the future loomed like dark clouds. Clara nodded, her brows furrowed. Just take it one day at a time, okay? You have to stay strong for Mia and Ava. Right. Jake rubbed the back of his neck, the weight of his role settling in. I just don't want them to feel like they're missing out on anything. I want to keep things normal as long as possible. The thought was like a faint light flickering within him. Hope trying to break through the clouds of worry, he took a step toward the exit, his eyes darting to Mia, who was now spinning in circles. Here's the thing, Clara, Jake continued. Ava's going to need support, emotional, physical. She deserves normalcy, joy. And she'll have that. But every family needs help, Jake. You can't do it alone, Clara said softly. Have you thought about getting a nanny or caregiver? The idea struck him like a bolt of lightning. A nanny? He'd never considered it. I don't want another person in the house. It feels too intrusive. Think about it, Clara urged. You need someone who can help bridge that gap. A familiar face for the girls, someone who can be their constant while you're learning to navigate this. Jake bit his lip, the thought brewing in his mind. Could they really bring someone else into their lives? The notion both frightened and intrigued him. But what if they don't fit in? What if Mia and Ava don't like them? Just try. You won't know until you do, Clara insisted, her voice steady. Underneath the concern, Jake felt something begin to grow, curiosity mixed with hope. Just then, Mia ran back, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Daddy, I want to play dress up with Ava when we get home. Seeing the joy in her eyes ignited something within him. Then let us focus on that, huh? Making memories? Yes. And ice cream, Mia added, raising her arms in a cheer that he chuckled, the laughter freeing him for a moment. Ice cream it is. But first, Let us go see Ava. She'll love your rainbow picture. Clara smiled, heartened by the exchange. As they walked toward the car, the question lingered, could a new addition truly strengthen their family bond? Jake's thoughts spun with possibilities. Would this help them flourish? Or would it complicate everything even more? Uncertainty gnawed at him. But pushing that thought aside felt easier with Mia's joyful giggles surrounding him. Maybe with a little help, they could keep this family together, firmly on the path to recovery and joy. As they reached the parking lot, a thought struck him. What about someone with experience? Someone who could really understand the situation? Clara, what if he started? His heart racing with the possibility of change. What if we found someone who has been through something like this before? He turned to look at Clara, excitement and apprehension twisting together in his chest. What if that was the answer he needed? But would they truly be ready to open their home and their hearts? The sun was just creeping over the horizon as Jake sat with Mia in the back seat of the car, excitement filling the air. With Ava finally home from the hospital, anticipation bubbled like the fizz in a soda can, ready to burst with joy. Jake glanced at Sarah in the front, her eyes reflecting a mix of nervous energy and cautious optimism. Together, they had navigated the storm, and now they stood on the other side, hopeful. You ready to surprise your sister, Mia? Jake asked, unable to hide the smile creeping onto his face. I can't wait. Mia squealed, clapping her hands. As they pulled into the driveway, the sight of the familiar mansion somehow felt different. It was no longer a cold shell of luxury, but a home bustling with life and laughter. Jake parked the car, the smell of freshly mown grass and dew-kissed leaves filling his lungs as they stepped outside. It was a gentle reminder of the beauty lurking in ordinary moments. Pushing the front door open, Jake felt a rush of nostalgia wash over him. The house was awash in light, sprinkled with the quiet hum of the world waking up. They made their way to the living room, where Ava, still a bit frail but full of spark, sat on the couch, her favorite blanket draped over her legs. Her face brightened as they entered. Surprise! Mia shouted, rushing to her sister, arms outstretched. Whoa, what's this? Ava's voice was hoarse but vibrant. Jake watched as Mia held out her crayon masterpiece, a rainbow, with stick figures of the family holding hands beneath it. Ava's eyes lit up. Within moments, she was wrapped around Mia in a warm embrace, their giggles bouncing off the walls like music. Jake exchanged glances with Sarah, their shared relief palpable. He remembered how far they had come. They had faced fears, fought for hope, and now stood ready for a new beginning. Here, he said, stepping forward with a tray of cookies. Sarah baked these just for you. The sweet aroma filled the air like an embrace. Yay, cookies! Mia cheered, eyes shining brighter than the summer sun. Ava took a cookie, nibbling carefully. These are amazing, Sarah. She beamed, and Jake felt his heart swell. Glad you think so. But you know, the best part is seeing your smiles, Sarah replied, her voice gentle and warm, the bond between them strengthening with each shared moment. As the afternoon wore on, they played games, shared stories, and filled the house with laughter that echoed like music coursing through their souls. Jake watched, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over him. The girls grabbed his hands, pulling him into their game. He found himself forgetting everything outside those four walls, losing himself in the delight radiating from his daughters. Soon, Jake began to think about the possibilities before them. A new nanny, someone who understood their journey. He gently turned to Sarah. What if we find someone, like you said, a caregiver who has been through a similar experience? I think that's a fantastic idea, she responded, a bright smile breaking out. It would help us all. We could even look for someone local, maybe even someone who specializes in childcare for kids with health issues. He nodded, his vision sharpening as he felt the hope swell within him. And they could help teach us ways to support Ava through her recovery. As Mia and Ava bustled around, he realized that the pieces of their lives were finally coming together. They were building, not just as a family of three, but as a community, embracing the journey ahead. Jake, can we have a picnic in the backyard? Mia piped, pulling him from his thoughts. Absolutely, he exclaimed, pretending to look serious while a grin tugged at his lips. But first, we should all go on a quest for the perfect picnic spot. They all laughed and rushed into the yard, where laughter, sunlight, and new beginnings filled the spaces between them. Each moment was a step forward, a transformation, not just in how they lived, but in how they could love, support, and cherish one another. Days flowed into weeks, and with every encounter, Jake felt the warmth of familial bonds knitting them closer. Ava was progressing with her treatment, each milestone celebrated like a small victory. They leaned on one another in laughter, tears, and mistakes, finding joy in playful chaos and quiet moments alike. In the evenings, Jake would sit on the porch, reflecting on the journeys taken and the paths still ahead. For once, in the calm of twilight, he felt like he wasn't just a CEO, but a dad, working hard to write a beautiful story for his family. As he glanced inside, the scene unfolding was a tapestry of love, laughter, and shared struggles, the kind of life money could never buy, but the kind of life that, through the power of transformation, they created together. It didn't matter how hard things would get, they were stronger now. Together, they had faced darkness and chosen light. Together, he whispered to himself, smiling, as he watched Ava and Mia paint their dreams across the sunset sky. Everyone tuning in, if you felt the same transformation in your own lives or found hope in this story, it's time to remember that every story matters. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.